I feel like my heart is broken and I'm going through the 5 stages of grief, so it's not surprising that this is one of the hardest reviews I have ever done. I deep dived into season 2 of Saint's Magic Powers Omnipotent, not just once, but twice. In order to understand why this is such a hard review to do, you have to know that this anime was in the top 20 highest rated fall series in 2023 on AniList, a 4.8 out of 5 rating on Crunchyroll, and season 2 is even rated higher than season 1 on forums like MyAniList. If you're not new here, then you already know I am a big fan of isekai and romances. Season 1 was like a dream mix of romance, isekai, female lead, and shoujo. But season 2 left me wanting more. Not in the way you'd expect. If you haven't seen season 2, I strongly recommend watching my season 1 recap and then jumping right into season 2 and coming back here because there is a lot to unpack. I will be discussing some plots and scenes that are definitely spoilers. So here's my hot take. The show could have ended with season 1. I was so excited for season 2 only to be strung along until the last 2 episodes to see any real progress. I will say, seeing the increased budget put towards animation for the monster fight scenes was beautiful, but sadly, that was the only thing that made me smile in the first half of the season. Now, I did love that they touch on what will Sei do once her main goal of being the saint is completed, and some of the politics this season. But with that said, it felt like it was all talk and no bite. Both topics are kind of dangled above our heads for most of the season, until episode 10, where we see Sei actually thinking about what she wants to do. And of course, episode 11, she goes on what seems like a date to the opera with Yuri, and Albert gets a little upset with himself. We get to see Albert's side of things when he was first healed by Sei in season 1, and then episode 12, the final episode, Albert proposes. Honestly, other than this and the Imperial King's arc, I don't remember anything. It felt like the show actually started during the last couple episodes, and it went full speed. All in all, for me, the show was pretty mid for 2 main reasons: characters and depth, or kind of lack thereof. My main hot take of the show is that Albert is an empty shell. He's kind of like those Russian dolls, but instead of opening up and finding more, you open him up and it's empty. We got a flashback, which I was so happy to see Albert have a moment to see in his past, but then all we're given is poor animations and the most basic reasoning for love at first sight. If that was the case, I don't think we even needed that flashback. I would have loved to see why they called him the Ice Prince. Like, did they forget they called him the Ice Prince in the first season? It's hard not to compare Albert's flashback to the Imperial King's flashback, where we got to see more about him and his relationship with his mother. And he was only in the season for 3 episodes. Even when Sei got to meet Albert's family, and that's usually like an exciting moment, but it felt flat. It was just like checking it off the list and going through the motions. We've seen that the creator can develop good characters like Elizabeth, who we get to see more of her personality and see that she believes in the way she was raised to be the fiance of a powerful noble or leader like Kyle, and be okay with an arranged marriage. We even see that they maybe hint at her and Ira having more than a friendship. We also see Yuri's softer side and more of his manipulating side, of course, you know. He's still my favorite, I love Yuri. As well as a bit of Ira. We see that she's wearing darker colors in this season, instead of all the pastels that everyone always liked putting her in, showing that she might be feeling more comfortable in being herself. So the creator can definitely develop good characters, and even in a short amount of time, but they choose not to develop Albert. And if I'm being honest, Sei, who didn't really advance much this season, because let's be real, she already realized that she loved Albert in the first season, already had her cosmetic business, already doing research, and already learning about the ways of this new world. In shows like this, I usually just wait to see more of the other relationships, and don't like the main relationships because they're usually so bland. But there were no other relationships this season. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think it was cute how Albert would do or say things to make Sei blush, but this dude was doing this for 2 years. 2 years! After I found out that that's how long it's been since she initially healed him, I had to take a step back and ask myself, how can I swoon for a main character when I know nothing about him? Only that he says sweet things and is a strong commander. Like, Did I just find my new red flag?
Bruh.
I can't swoon for someone I don't even know anything about. My other hot take is that in order to really enjoy this anime, you have to keep it at surface level. But sadly, once you watch this anime more than once in a short period of time, you can't help but notice some things. Like you see that a lot of supporting characters, like Yuri, Elizabeth, and the Imperial King, are developed more than the main characters. The fact that they drag season 2 on and we only see real progress until the last 2 episodes is mind-blowing. And you can't blame that it's a slice of life, because those animes are slow so they can develop the characters and encourage the audience to make connections with the characters. Unlike this, where we still don't know much about a lot of the main characters. I feel like the progression in the last 2 episodes should have been in the middle of the season and had more political marriage stuff throughout instead of just talking about it in passing. And if we're trying to put marriages in it, why did Yuri ask Sei out on the opera quote-unquote date? Throughout the season, they've continually said how he is not interested in anything but magic. But yet, during the opera date, we see him lighten up and smile a certain way towards Sei. So I'm very confused. What benefit does Yuri have to have all these rumors of them potentially being married? Yuri is one of the characters that have built up, and we know Yuri does not care about anything but magic. So why would he all of a sudden care about potential political gains? And I know people might say you have to assume that Yuri did it to push Albert to make a move, or assume it was to get a rise out of Albert, or assume it was because he actually might have some feelings for Sei outside of magic. But if we're all assuming so much, then what is the point? It's like you're filling in the blanks in your mind and basically writing the show yourself. It's almost like season 2 is just telling us a lot of things, but lacking follow-through. It hints at politics, status, and marriage, but barely scratches the surface. The show needs to walk the talk. The last 2 episodes should have been the blueprint for the entire season. Imagine the depth and pace we would have experienced. It would have been amazing. Those are my hot takes, and I know there are a lot of people who love this show, and don't get me wrong, if there was a season 3, I would watch it, but it probably won't go on my top list of anime. So do you have any hot takes on this anime? Did it leave you wanting more? Or were you enchanted by Sei's journey? What do you think about the show's direction? Let's chat in the comments below, because honestly, this show has me going through the 5 stages of grief, and I'm going to need support. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more anime deep dives. Until next time, bye!